Hello, beautiful friends. This is such a beautiful song about Ananda Mai. And she was such an incredible saint. To be honest, I know very little about her except for what Yogananda said of her. And so it was Yogananda who visited her. And so this is really when she said about herself that she is not changing, she shall be the same. And that is something that we are actually doing and embodying here, and that is becoming our divine self. And so I love this beautiful picture. And so through the dance of creation, the changes around us are not what we become. We remain the same divine self, the unchangeable. And I hope that everyone is feeling the expansion of the divine self within, and that also you now, in a way, also use your divine self to shine that light through all the bodies we have into our life. And so today we will be really dissolving the past. And I shared yesterday a story of my grandfather when he passed, when he left his body and didn't come back, but he came to me for 3 days and 3 nights. And when he told me, you know, when we leave, the only thing that really matters is how much we loved. And so the only thing that stays behind really, or should stay behind, is love. And that love lives within those who stay behind. And so it is all about love. And so the divine self is all love. The divine self is pure love, and it doesn't change. It doesn't change because conditions change. And that is exactly what we are becoming. There is so much to be said about this ascension process, but one of the things that we are really going through is our own expansion. When Divine Mother started to teach me about ascension from her perspective, it was very much so about being able to expand from a limited self to actually a much bigger being, and to go from the contraction into an expansion, to go from the seed into a tree of life. And so I was listening to her this morning, you know, because she sings songs, and I was listening to her singing a song. And it was, again, you know, just listening to her words about us being the seeds who become fruit. From the fruit, we give our own seeds, and that seed turns into a tree. And then there is the tree of life. And so once again, amazing. I want to see the rainbow. So when she speaks about expansion, expansion is also a process of liberation. And so again, we go from the limited self to an expanded version of our being. It is truly like waking up from a dream, but again, knowing that cosmos and the whole cosmic dream is also a dream. You know, we just fell asleep within that dream. That's what it really happened. When the earth fell asleep, we fell asleep with her. And it is exactly like in that beautiful fairy tale, the Sleeping Beauty. The entire queendom, the kingdom, fell asleep with the Sleeping Beauty. And so the Sleeping Beauty, being the Divine Mother, is waking up in our hearts. And with her, we too wake up. And of course, when we wake up, we have to wake up from all those nightmares, but we wake up into a beautiful cosmic dream. But once again, you know, the responsibility is always within each one of us, and that is to be responsible dreamers. And that means when that life force flows through us as a gift, we use that gift to create something very beautiful. And so the work that we do here, you know, we are preparing for the big changes within us, and we are allowing these changes to actually work so beautifully through us. So think of it that way. You wake up in the morning, you know, and you stretch, you know, stretch your arms up in the air and you just expand. That is that kind of expansion. And so we are going through this expansion. To be able to expand, we of course have to go through internal liberation. Is anything holding us back? And everything that holds us back is always the personality, self, the lower human nature, you know, the limited self. And so we have to shift our perspective and say, you know what? Maybe I don't believe all the stories I told myself. And one of the big stories we tell ourselves, of course, is about our past. And maybe you would agree with me that very often we feel defined and burdened by the past. And we say, this happened to me when I was a child. This happened to me in one of the marriages. This happened to me, this and that. But actually, does it really matter? If we just then focus on all the love that we received, all the love that's within us, all the love that surrounds us, we can let those little stories dissolve, because you know what? They dissolve the moment that you leave your body. And so why be defined by them? And I know a lot of people experience trauma, and I also know trauma. And I have to say, when you start working with your divine self, the perspective changes so much that even the trauma, the drama, all of it just dissolves. And we step into this beautiful, expanded version of our being. And it is not about faking it. It is not about denying it. It is not about suppressing it. It actually is a process of transmutation. And so this is transmutation. We are being transmuted within us. When we connect with our divine self, everything suddenly dissolves. And thank you again for the Shri Yukteswar. Very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so this is this amazing, amazing process. So again, you know, we are working with Oren, but the thing is, it's the same thing that Yogananda taught us. So we go from the personality self, we go to that fire of living God, we burn and transmute. Never underestimate the power of the fire of the living God. And so whether it is just having a candle or really sitting by, you know, your fireplace and transmuting, or also just imagining and calling in the power of the violet flame, the golden flame. It really, to me, doesn't matter, because both works. And I worked with Yogananda with the golden flame, transmuting all of it. He called it the cloak of humanness. And the cloak, in the way that he was describing this to me, was like the brown stuff around us, you know, the energy field was not all radiant, not all rainbow. And he said the key is to actually become the rainbow light, to become the golden rainbow white light. To make it very beautiful. And so first we transmute the human self. It's okay. And then the next step is we start adding light. And we work with the angelic queendom to do that. Yes. Oh, thank you for the quote once again. So this is what we're going to do. You know, the most important thing to understand, and I know you understand this, the most important thing to understand is that everything is a reflection. And so our life is a mirror, and it is actually a divine mother who is the mirror. And so here, she doesn't like to mirror to us dysfunction, but she has to. If humanity is dysfunctional, the dysfunction becomes mirrored on the outside, and we will call it our lives. We will also call it Mother Nature and all the elements. And so when we clean up the system, we are a system of many bodies. Then we also clean up that which is on the outside, because then it has to be reflected. And actually, the cleaner we become, the faster we see all the beauty that is being reflected to us. And then we can have instantaneous manifestation, instantaneous creation that people call miracles. And I know that you all have seen this work in your life. When you are feeling really clean, when you are feeling in love, when you are feeling upbeat, then everything on the outside is reflecting that to you, but also very fast. And so all your beautiful thoughts, all your beautiful desires, your beautiful heart is also quickly manifesting everything to you. And you can test it out. I like to test it out. You know, I always think, how long does it take these days to create something? And so you just state whatever your heart's desires. And I have noticed that it's within hours, sometimes it's one day. And so it is definitely so beautiful to see that when we are a clean system and we keep cleaning up every day. To me, you know, it's very easy to get dirty in this world too. And so the dirt is in those thoughts that are not based in the divine self. And so today we will be dissolving all that maybe was held within the limited self, and that maybe that we identified with, and sometimes it's even our memories. And, who knows what the memory truly is, how accurate our memories really anyway. Once I visited the world of the Pleiades, and I learned from actually the beings that I communicated with when I got there, is that they personally do not hold memories within themselves, but all memories are uploaded into kind of like a collective akasha. And then they download whatever useful information they need for whatever it is that they are working on or working with or creating. And to me, this was amazing. And they showed me how the human brain is more like a random recycling machine, and that you never know what you're going to get, really. And then, as human beings, sometimes, especially when we are in unconsciousness, we believe the mind. And probably that's not a good idea because the mind is pretty inaccurate and also not so well organized when it comes, to the human distorted mind. And so we want to be with our divine mind. We want to be with our divine creativity. We want to be inspired. Inspiration is always coming from our divine self. It is truly seeds of inspiration, and it's something that ignites us. And so when our divine self works with us, when we allow it, of course, then we feel inspired. It's pretty amazing. We are inspired. And so let us get inspired today, because everything on the outside is a reflection of the past. How amazing can life be when we clean up anything held within, really, our energy field? I get so passionate about this because the miracles are instantaneous when we clean up the self. And as you know, the self is also the very old self. That's why we have, whatever we want to call it, past life memories. And sometimes it is all written into the etheric body. And the etheric body might be holding so much stuff that is really not beneficial for us. And so it's amazing cleaning up the system. We are just an energy field that needs cleaning up. Once we clean it up, we just become light, and we can call it enlightenment. But once again, it's just the natural state of being is actually enlightenment. It is not a natural state of being to be burdened by stuff. That is not what nature would like us to be, but it became normal. And as you know, Divine Mother always makes a big difference between normal and natural. And one thing she says is, actually, if you find something normal, it probably is not natural. And so it is not natural for us to be burdened. And so let us let go of all the burdens. Since everything has to be mirrored back to us, people can call it karma. But I found this quote today: life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. I don't know who Ernst Holmes is, but that's pretty much how it works. When we connect with our divine self, but we really need to get to know the divine self. I say get to know your divine self because when I got to know my divine self, it was a surprise to me, actually. It was such a surprise to find the divine self within me for the first time, that I could really tell, oh my gosh, who is that talking to me within me with a different type of, attitude, with a different level of love, with a different kind of level of perfection and understanding, and this like complete infinite love and ease and just this embracing love. And I realized, whoa, this is living within me. And so I had a lot of questions for my divine self once we connected. Okay, thank you. And so I had a question, and I said to divine self, well, I want to stay connected to you all the time. I want to be with you at all times. I never want to lose this attunement, because now I have the best guide, and the guide is within me. And it is not external, it is internal, but it is not my self. It is not my inner voice. It is actually my divine self. And so the divine self said, I'm always here. I am always here. I don't disconnect from you, but it is up to you to attune to me. And I thought, this is so brilliant. So there is nothing that the divine self would do to disconnect from us, but it is actually within us and up to us to actually connect. And so as you practice connecting with your divine self, you might go through a huge realization one day. Maybe it's already happened, when you really, really get to know this really aspect of your being. This is a very similar aspect of your being as the unlimited ocean of the spirit that we have worked with when we worked with Yogananda. Because you see how we went up and up and up, even beyond the soul body. And as you know, beyond the soul body is the spirit body. And so the divine self is really, it holds all other aspects within itself. It is really that infinite and changeable, just like Anandamayi said. And yet it is within all of us to be attuning to. And the best way to attune is always through love. And I also find that it's important to attune in complete, silence, and go deep and find that energy within. It's like a river that runs through us, and we just have to hop into that river of love. And it is, to me, nothing more important. Like first thing when you wake up in the morning, before you even have thoughts, just divine self, hello, I'm awake. I'd like to connect to you. And just, as you still lay in bed, attune yourself to your divine self and be guided every day by your divine self. Allow your divine self to be your guide. But also, of course, as we always know, we are an embodied deva. We are in this amazing, amazing, unbelievable elemental being. We are in a physical body that has so many incredible systems within that when we when we switch on the mystery of the body, when we switch on, our glands and our beautiful cerebral spinal fluid, that is the yoga within us. That is what actually connects us to higher consciousness. And, science is starting to discover the mystery, of our spinal fluid, for example, and how our consciousness is connected to it. And to me, this is also what inner engineering with Sadhguru does, also, of course, the Kriya Yoga with Yogananda. It is all about unlocking the system in the body so that we can connect to higher consciousness. Wonderful, wonderful teacher that, I met him in the ethers when he first came, Sri Kaleshwar. Sri Kaleshwar, I haven't read his books, but he kind of came to me several times in the ethers. And so you can receive initiations from these great yogis, these great avatars. And so he spoke about the incredible mystery of the physical body and the 5 elements, and how, for example, the bones. And I know you heard me say about the bones within the body. Divine Mother asked me to really pay attention to my bones. And so one day when she started teaching me, I really wanted to get a skeleton as well, so that I understand every single bone within the body. And it is because, to me, the way she showed it, that the alignment of the bones does matter. And so the way, she taught me how to sleep in this really aligned way of being, so that actually the energies run properly through the body. It was very interesting, and it still is really interesting. And Sri Kaleshwar said that, when you do a lot of spiritual work, for example, your bones are totally soaking in the divine magnetism. And this divine magnetism stays within the bones. And that's why then bones become holy for those who have done a lot of spiritual work and brought in the magnetic energy of the earth and of cosmos. And so, for example, he was saying that then you want these holy bones to actually be placed into the earth so that they keep emanating this divine energy. And to me, this is really fascinating, how our body actually is also part of our holiness. Our body is, look what happened to Yogananda. His body didn't even really deteriorate after the moment of death, and it just kept emanating light. So this is, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to be here in this body and to be best friends with the elemental we are in, but also, of course, with the divine self. And when the divine self and the body elemental work together, then we are in an incredibly harmonious place. And it is really amazing to be actually in this harmony within the physical, and also our consciousness. And as you know, our divine self works also through our earthly mental body, through our earthly emotional body. And so it also works with the physical body. And to me, this is all just such beautiful alchemical process that we are part of. Yeah, very beautiful. And that's exactly what it is. The body is part of nature, just like our consciousness is part of nature. It's just so beautiful. And so today we're gonna clean up. The physical mastery, as well as emotional mastery, as well as mental mastery, as well as spiritual mastery, it is all us, right? We all want mastery. And to me, mastery has to feel like something very pleasant. We want to do it. We love it. We love being masterful with our own being and to always seek new level of mastery. And that means we are evolving, we are expanding, which is really our design. Our design is to evolve and expand, to come, for example, into beautiful balance with all the 5 elements. How beautiful and magical is that? And so we have so many beautiful processes to do this. For example, one of the magical things we can do every day is to connect the body to this beautiful 5-pointed star, and to actually connect the spirit to our head, water and air to our arms, earth and fire to our legs, and to know that this design is within us. And really that all of creation happens through the 5 elements. And so again, we just need to have a relationship with the mystery that is around us, and to really be in a relationship that means conscious relationship, understanding and then being conscious. And so with that, my friends, let us go into once again becoming our divine self and awakening our spiritual power. And this time it will be by actually expanding the light of consciousness through all that we are, so that the reflection on the outside, which we call our present, which is a reflection of the past, and then our future can be fresh and new and not burdened by the lower self. This divine self, is in all things. And so it's also important to recognize the divine self, not only in our own being, of course, in all other people, beings, but also in animals, in plants, and in those elements like water and air and soil. It is all the divine being in all things. And so that's why we want to be in that relationship, which is the relationship of no harm. And actually, before we go into the meditation, I wanted to play 3 minutes of Yogananda. And, it's a really old recording, but hopefully it will come across. And this was recorded at Christmas. So at the beginning, it's about Christ, but then it's about this beautiful ocean of spirit that we are part of, the ocean of the divine self. And so this is from an album, Make Heaven on Earth. And so again, it's a very old recording, but hopefully it will be easy to understand. It's 3 minutes.
And blessed we are that on this day we are worshipping Christ, celebrating the birthday of Christ through the exchange of the gifts of our heart. Here we are bound together, not by the compulsion of family instinct, but bound together by the love of Christ and God and the Masters. God is the ocean. Christ and the Masters are but the waves. Only they are conscious. Liberated souls are conscious of the whole ocean behind them. While the mortal man, even though the ocean is behind the wave of his consciousness, he is not conscious. God sleeps in the sod, dreams as beauty in the metals and the gems. He is awake in the bird and sings to himself. And he knows that he is awake in man, but still man confines himself to his family and his surroundings. But the Superman, who prepares his love to give to all, loves all as he loves his family and neighbors, and who meditates upon the infinite until he finds in the orbit of the omnipresence, worlds, universes, as well as his body is glimmering, then he knows that God has become man and man has become God again. Ocean becomes the wave. The little wave was afraid of the other waves. Somebody said, little wave, watch. You are the bulge of the ocean, and all the waves around you are the bulge of the same ocean. Then the little wave was no longer afraid. So is the little man afraid of life and struggle and death when he realizes beneath him is the ocean of light of God, and all things around him are the bulges of the same ocean. He is no longer afraid. He says, Sarvang Khalidang Brahma. Everything is Brahma. Everything is spirit. Everything is light. Even as the man that was engrossed and crying, watching the tragedy in the motion picture, when he suddenly looks at the beam and sees the beam has created everything, he says, everything is shadow and light. How could I feel sorry about the tragedy picture? So is the perception of God. As you lift yourself through non-attachment and loving the world as your own, you shall find the great director who is creating this motion picture of universes on the screen of our consciousness and the screen of the ether.
It's an amazing transmission, of course. You know, when you listen to such an avatar like Yogananda, you are not only receiving words, but you are receiving incredible, sacred, celestial, divine energy. And so, you know, this is exactly what we're doing as little waves. We are expanding our consciousness to be one with the ocean and to realize that all waves are part of that ocean. And so you and me, the divine self, is actually what unites us. And what is our oneness? It is the divine self. And so how wonderful it is when so many waves come together to become really united and to be one with the ocean. And so once again, you know, this is the story that Yogananda gave us, and that is to go from the personality self, transmute that, go into the light of the angelic world, receive some new light, you know, improve the being, and then go into the soul. And then from the soul, realize that there is something bigger than the soul, and that is the ocean of spirit. And then from the ocean of spirit, we unite with source. And so here we are doing the work. And so I'll stop recording this once again. So, my friends, we are transforming so much. It's amazing. And this made me think about the song, you know, Let It Shine, because really this little light of ours, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And so once we start connecting with that light of the divine self within us, of course, we become untouched by all that is going on around us. And we become like Neo in the Matrix, you know, we stop the bullets and then we transmute everything. Yesterday, I saw this quote from Eckhart Tolle. And as you know, Eckhart Tolle went through spontaneous awakening of life force within his being when he was kind of, you know, feeling really down. And so we always want to be choosing feeling blissful and then awakening the life force so that we don't have to feel down. And so to me, this is a quote truly about our divine self. And that is that I am not my thoughts, emotions, sense perceptions, and experiences. I am not the content of my life. I am life with a capital L. He must know Divine Mother. I am the space in which all things happen. I am consciousness. I am the now. I am. And so it is. And so it is. And so it is. And so, you know, this really to me is initiation process. We're going through initiations here. This is the most mystical thing we can do. Get in touch with the divine self and become that divine self. The divine self doesn't have any conflicts within. So the divine self is so powerful. It is the power of your divine self within you. And again, sometimes we have to dig deep to make the connection, but ask your divine self every single day to be your guide, to guide you in your thoughts, to guide you in your words, to guide you in your feeling, to guide you in your actions, to be the inspiration that is the golden path ahead of you. Your divine self also, of course, communicates with your body deva. So again, it's the beautiful alchemy. And so you can use both, and we should, to be guided by both. The body deva knows so much about this physical world, and our divine self knows everything about consciousness. And so again, just a beautiful marriage within us. It is really how the Divine Mother is represented in the earth. So she is in the body, and how our consciousness is represented by the solar light. And so that is our divine self. And so I recommend meditating with the sun, especially at sunrise or sunset, when you can start sun gaze, because the sun represents the divine self within. The divine self shines the same way. And so then when we bring that light into the heart, then we can absolutely shine that light. And so when we connect with the earth, we connect with the body deva, we connect with this beautiful elemental being that we are, the one that creates the body. And we can ask the body deva to assist with changes when we are working through whatever physical stuff is going on, to bring more harmony and healing to the body as well. And also to meditate with the elements, to meditate with all the 5 elements if you can, because they need to be balanced within us so that our consciousness can be balanced, so that our elemental body can be balanced as well. And so if you light a candle, that is not just a candle, it is not just fire, it is really the fire of the living God. And you can transmute stuff within yourself. So this track, anyone knows, was it number 8? I think it was number 8. Number 8. So tomorrow we only will have one call. It will be at 5 p.m. And the next day we will do just one call at 11 a.m. So that way we're going to listen to the same track tomorrow and then the day after. But I'll put it on the website, and it's going to be in an email as well. So tomorrow we will be doing There Is Only One Power. There is only one power. And that is, why is it? Now I feel like a teacher. Hey, do you know, guys, who knows it? Raise your hand. There is only one power, because the power of the divine self is not split into 2. There is only one power, because the divine self does not have any conflict. Thank you, Romina. There is only one power, because when we take the flame of the divine and expand it through our entire being, there is only that one flame, and that's it. Bam, expansion. Now, the fun thing is, if you work through anything in your life, any conditions, just know the power you have within you, and give the power to the divine self to be the transmuting power of your life. I actually always ask my divine self to expand the light all around me, because you want to be the transmuting power, the power that is all around us. And then everything you touch it as your divine self. Everything you encounter as your divine self. Amazing. And so thank you for being here. We'll repeat today at 5 p.m. Pacific, and tomorrow only at 5 p.m. Pacific. So thank you so much. Back to the future. I like that. Thank you.